It's always exciting when Esterbrook comes out with a new Estie, and this one is a stunner. So let's take a look together at the Back to the Land Esterbrook Estie in Funky Lake. In my imagination, it's always the 1970s. Those were the days of this color palette, Crayola crayon language of design that was reflected in home appliances, in cars, in home decor. Avocado greens, terracotta reds, pale yellows. These were the colors that reigned supreme, but there was one color that made it through the decade relatively unaffected, and that was blue. The 1970s featured this very deep, saturated blue. Blue seemed to survive this decade. The 1970s were a pivotal time after the social upheavals of the late 1960s and just before the wave of consumerism that kicked in the 1980s, a wave I would say we're still drowning in.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
The 1970s were a crossroad. In many ways, it was the road not taken. And whether or not that made any difference, I suppose we'll never know. So Esterbrook has reached back into this transitional decade to pull out some inspiration for this interesting line of Esties, including the Funky Lake, which we have here today, Incredible Rock, which is a beautiful reddish brown, and Quirky Leaf, which I'm pretty sure is now legal in the state of Massachusetts, but a very beautiful color green as well. So each of these come in cartridge converter versions and their button fill, which I've yet to try. I'm still hoping to get my hands on one of those, but today we'll look at the cartridge converter and see if it lives up to the other Esties in its family. Okay, so here is the beautiful Back to the Land Esterbrook Estie in Funky Lake, and this is the box with this fun gold lettering. Very nice box. Some interesting things on the back here. It has the different colors and things. Very nice. Love it. But let's take a look at the pen. Oh, yes. I love this blue. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous blue. Now, each of these pens comes with an extra. This one comes with a bit of ink. One of them comes with an air freshener. So a lot of fun little extras in there. Of course, it comes on this ruler, and you get a free pen holder, which is super fun. It's magnetic. Pretty powerful magnet, actually. So this is to attach it to pretty much any book or any journal. You just put it on the side and then slide your pen in. Handy. Very well done. Feels very soft. Pretty stitching, everything else. So super fun. Here's our beautiful pen though. The pen is always the main character in these pen review stories. Beautiful blue. Trying to think how to describe this blue. It's got a touch of green, but it's definitely a nice saturated blue. You can see it against the sort of robin's egg blue of the Charles River in this map. So it gives you a little bit of contrast there. So there is some fun detail on this pen. There's this sort of pale orange band with the gold colored metal there. Very pretty. It's nice to have a little bit of accent. I rather wish there was metal protecting here. I always nick every pen brand for that. But there is a ring right there, which is very nice. But I do like the little bit of color differentiation between the blue, the beautiful gold, and that kind of brownish orange color. Personally, I don't post Esterbrook Esties. I feel like they're too long, but you certainly may. It does work fine. For my preference, I don't really like it posted. I feel like it just does much better unposted. Very elegant. So let's take a look at this ink. Came with it. Wow, it actually matches really well. It's kind of fun that it's in this little medicinal vial. But boy, filling it with a cartridge That's not a challenge I am going to take on right now, but very fun bit of ink. So instead of using the Esterbrook ink, I am going to use the Irashizuku Suigyoku. One of my favorite inks I rarely use. This is probably the only greenish blue ink that I like. So I think it'll suit this pen perfectly. Such a beautiful bottle with this ink. It's just pure class. It always takes a bit of a deep breath every time you open it. Look at that. Is that not perfect? Look at that. Is that not perfect? I think it's pretty good. So we're going to open our pen, nice converter, and ink up our pen. Okay, so this is our beautiful blue Esterbrook Funky Lake fountain pen, Estie, one of my favorites. I like the proportion of these pens. They're nearly a perfect size. Let's see how this one writes. Shall we? Ooh. Very nice. Nice scribing noise. I like this ink. Maybe a little too green for this pen if we wanted it to match, but it certainly complements. This is a medium nib. It's a little more narrow than normal. It certainly feels very precise. And it's quite nice. I'm just surprised. It's not as thick and flowy as a normal medium. It's a little more narrow and refined. Still wet though. So this is an absolutely beautiful Estie, well-balanced, writing stupendously. So does the color inspire you? Does it move you? That's really the determining factor, whether or not this pen will fit in with you in your collection. Let's talk about the value proposition with these pens. Of course, it's an Esterbrook Estie. So if you are familiar with the Estie, you already know what you're getting. But if you're not, then you have two options. You have the cartridge converter, as I'm showing here, which is $195, and you have the button piston filler version, which is $250. Now, sight unseen, I would choose that one because it makes it that much more different, that much more interesting to have the button filler. Plus, has a little ink window. It's pretty neat. It's kind of different. It's a unique filling system. It's a little bit rare these days. You don't see too many button fillers out in the market, especially with production line pens. So to me, that's exciting. But let's just take $200 or so for the regular version. Is it worth it? I do think it is, because in this case especially, you're getting some extras. You're getting the pen holder, lovely packaging, a few other things. They write fantastic. Esterbrook stands behind their pens, and I think steel nib around 200. You know, I think we're okay there. So of course this is an Estie, and similar to other Esties, it's really the theme and the color that's going to seduce you. They do a fantastic job of providing beautiful materials, beautiful proportion, beautiful balance. You do get a Yovo nib with these, so it's a predictable writing experience. And if you already have a fleet of Yovo nibs, you have to ask yourself whether or not it's worth it to add this particular pen to your collection. It would really have to resonate with you, or do as I suggest, and that is to try one of the many custom nib options that Esterbrook has available. I know this one comes in at least needlepoint, which is very interesting, or you could have some work done to your nib after the fact. But the one thing I do love about Esterbrook is that they keep that spirit of classic and vintage Esterbrook alive and have many different nib types, nib sizes available for you, so there's a nib that will fit your writing style. I just really want this purchase to make sense for you, so if you're really inspired by it, make it matter. Make it fit into your collection in a unique way. If you're an extra fine person, go nuts and get a stub nib or try a needlepoint or something a little different and out of the norm, so that this pen is truly interesting and resonates very personally with you. Sometimes when I'm feeling nostalgic, I can close my eyes and see myself on that street in Philadelphia where I grew up, with those row houses, with the neighbors I knew then, and the soda fountain at the end of the street where they sold heaps of Breyer's ice cream for 35 cents. Well, nowadays it's all gone. The windows that they used to pass ice cream through are now bricked in, and it's a dental office. But that's just how life is. Things change, things evolve. So for me, this pen really taps into the nostalgia of those times that are lost, except to those of us who lived them. So what do you think of the Esterbrook Estie in Funky Lake? Is this a pen that's inspiring you? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you've reached this point, please subscribe. I'd love to have you along on this journey with us. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, membership is available. We have a pen pal group for Cognoscenti and Illuminati members, so join us, won't you? It'd be a lot of fun. So I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. So I can promise you we will see each other again very soon, further up the road. So take care.